Hey there, comic fans. I am back from the comic shop again this week. Pretty light week, no giant book. Only 3 comics this week, 2 from the pull list, and 1 I pulled off the shelf. First, we got some comic shop news. Here we go. Marvel doing Ultraman. Okay. Ultraman rises at Marvel. I don't know why Marvel... Maybe they're expanding their foreign market. I don't know. I was never an Ultraman fan. I have friends who are Ultraman fans. There's some more news in there. Lots of news in this one. But I don't know who's dying for an Ultraman comic. I guess we'll see. Willow, Comic Shop News, July. I like to read comic shop news and see what's coming out. So we'll see what's coming out. I also got today some current comic bags. Besides having to buy them every now and then, been reading a lot of my old 80s comics, and some of them are still in the old 80s bags. It's funny, I put most of my old Marvels in Mylar about 15 years ago, but I never got around to all the indies and stuff, because a lot of them, do I really need Mylar for Max of the Regulators, number 1 through 3? I don't know, but I'm just replacing whatever. I'll show you what I've been reading, but I'm going to be replacing some of the old 80s bags with new bags, because they're really old. All right, let's start with Bitterroot, number 9. Number 8 was my first issue of Bitterroot. I picked that up on a whim one week because I was needing something to buy. And I liked it. I think it takes place in the 1920s in Harlem and I think they're in Georgia for this issue. They're a family that fights supernatural monsters. Nothing too original, fighting supernatural monsters wise, but well done. The art is by, Sanford Green is the guy's name. Does a nice job on the art. And in general, I liked issue 8. So put it on the pull list. And we'll keep going with Bitterroot. And then we've got Shaggy of Jimbo Color Classics, which is just reprinting Usagi in color. I think they're doing this just to get some money, because I think this is only going 7 issues. And I think that's the first trade they're making of old color, because all the old Usagis are in black and white. So I guess they wanted to color them so they could, because it's with IDW now. IDW wanted to color them so they could release color trades, since they're now printing Usagi in color for the first time. So I guess this printing them in individual issues is probably a way to make some money. Print them in individual issues first to make some money and pay the colorist and then sell the trade. So I imagine that's what they're doing with this. I guess they're going to see how that first trade sells before they go on with any other issues. Like I said, this is only 7 of this. It doesn't say anywhere on it, but I've seen 4 of 7 advertised other places. So I imagine that's what they're doing. And then I picked up off the shelf. I wasn't going to get this. Red Nails issue 2. I think this wraps up the stories too. But I liked this cover. Just because the only reason I wasn't going to get this, I thought it was pretty well done, the first issue, was this is a European graphic album size and really should be printed as a European graphic album, a little bigger. As you can see here, there's a lot of white space around. And that just has kind of always annoyed me, because I'd rather have it the slightly bigger, because this was printed in France in like 2017 or something like that. Who did this cover? Let me see. Is that Brenton guy? Let's see if we have some artists. Right, we have cover artists. No, I don't think so. Artists, it says Olivia Vantine and Didier Cassegrain. Oh, cover artists: Fritz Cassis, Olivia Valentine, Natasha Alderici, Megan Hendrick, and Kendrick Lim. Any name on that? I don't know who this is. Don't see a name anywhere on there, but I like that cover. I was like, you know what? I may as well get the second part of the story I think it's only 2 issues. They also print the original in really teeny tiny type here, and this says end down there. So I think this is like Red Nails is actually a short story, so I can't imagine it's too long. So and Conan is in the public domain in Europe now, in France. So they're doing, for the last few years, they've been doing Conan comic book adaptations. I guess they released them here as the Sumerian because the Conan trademark is still going on. All right, now let me show you a little bit about what I've been reading. Speaking of 80s comics, just because got plenty of time now, I've decided to dig into the old back issues. This is Grendel, issue number 18. I'm up to, and I think it's the first time I've read these since I know I read these particular issues a couple of times in the 80s. May have read them in the early 90s. I doubt it. But it's been, 35 years since I read it. And I read 1 through 12, which is the Christine Spar issues, written by Matt Wagner, drawn by the Pander brothers and Jay Geldof, I think, on inks. Tom Vincent on colors. Really nice. I actually liked the Christine Spar issues 1 through 12 better now than I did back then. I think back then I was, not that I disliked them because I bought the series. I think I liked the Hunter Rose Grendel so much back then that changing over to another Grendel was kind of like, I was a little iffy about it. And I don't think though I enjoyed the Pander Brothers artwork even back then, I think Matt Wagner's artwork was better, so it was a little lesser for me. But rereading it now, I really, really liked it. I think I liked the Christine Spar issues better than back then. And then there were 3 issues after that I read of Bernie Moreau, who also does something called The Jam, which is one of my favorites. Matter of fact, I think those 3 issues of Grendel is where I discovered Bernie Moreau, and then bought the Jam stuff afterwards. But there were always, I read those ones a few times back in the late 80s. So they were a little more familiar with me, more familiar to me. So I really enjoyed reading those again. And then I'm right up now, this is issue 18, issues, 16, 17, 18, and 19 are back to Matt Wagner artwork. But what's weird is like the 2 issues before this, he really draws in these small postage stamp size. There was 20 panels on every page and writing underneath the panel. So he's kind of being experimental. And this one is kind of all vertical panels that very Harvey Kurtzman influenced artwork in this one. Haven't read this yet, but look at that. Look at that figure walking right there. That's very Harvey Kurtzman right there. So I don't really remember these ones. The 2 issues before this were very much a police procedural. Grendel stuff. Look at that. That's Harvey Kurtzman. So we'll see how these 2 issues are. Now what's funny, after these 2 issues, I continued to buy Grendel and read it up until issue 40. I have no memory of them. I have no memory of who did. I think Matt Wagner wrote them. I don't even know. I have no memory of who drew them. I have no memory of what they're about. So I'm going to reread those ones too. But it's really funny how much it just all left my head, all that Grendel stuff. I remember thinking it was okay, but not, the Christine Spar issues are great. The Bernie Moreau issues are great. These Matt Wagner ones were great. I remember not thinking those other ones were as great, but good enough for me to buy and keep. But we'll see how they are now. Maybe I'll like them better than I did then. Then I also read, this was a prize from, who was it? CJ, the amazing CJ? I made a video about it a year ago. I think I won these in a contest. It's been so long. But I finally got a chance to read Royal City, all 14 issues, Jeff Lemire. And I think this is the first Jeff Lemire thing I've read. And I really like the artwork, I really like the storytelling, but the story itself was adequate. It was definitely worth a read. I enjoyed it, but it seemed to be that this is a story about a family who lives in this royal city. And at the beginning, the fact that they lived in Royal City was really important. By the end, it didn't even matter. It was strange. First, it was all about the atmosphere of Royal City, and was that a place that brought them down? But then it just... But it was like, there's 6 or 7 members of this family, and every one of them's got a problem. Every one of them has got some sort of secret they're hiding, has got some sort of alcoholism, secretly gay, in a bad marriage. It's like everyone has got, and it's just kind of like, we've got this group of people, we've got to give them all problems and see what they do. So it's kind of like, but I really enjoyed the artwork. I really enjoyed the storytelling itself. It was just like I said, it was just the overall story was just kind of meh. But if you happen to see him hanging around, give him a read. And then the other thing I've been reading, because I like to mix things up, I like to read an issue of Grendel and then read an issue of Royal City, and I've been mixing that up with Invincible. This is just the dust jacket for the Ultimate Collection. I'm up to volume 5. So I've been mixing in Invincible first with Royal City, then with Grendel. That's just how I like to do it. So this is real good. First time I'm rereading it from beginning to end as a whole. So it's pretty interesting to read that way. And this is the comic that was on top of my printer as my sort of art piece to look at in the week. I put it on top of my printer, I walk by, I look at it, and just leave it there. It's my bought only for their covers stuff. And here's an issue of Marvel Double Feature. This is a Kirby cover, right? That's a Romita Head. Nope, it's not a Kirby. I don't know who did this cover. But just keeping it around. Now when I'm done with the video, I'll put this away and pull another one out. Now I'm showing you a little bit of my artwork. I've been working on these small drawings. So we'll show you a few of them. These are just ink drawings over a blue line sketch. And I'm just working with images. I like images. I like imagery. I like to kind of draw stuff that's new and I haven't seen before, kind of pull it out of that unconscious dream aspect of my mind. And maybe I'll turn one of these into a big ink drawing. As you can see, my big ink is still blank up here because I just haven't had the energy to do a big one. I like the way that one came out. Well, if I were to make this a big ink drawing, I'd have to redraw it and figure out all those eyes more specifically. Some of my moody pyramids I like to draw. I don't know what's up with this guy. His severed head shouting on a post. He doesn't look too happy. What's this final one here? Ooh, a stone-faced guy. But I've been doing these over time, over the last week or so. I've done about 20, 24 of them. I don't even know now. But I just kind of pull out. Let me show you. I just kind of grab one of my little ink books. I draw on these all the time. I fill up one a year. And I find one of these little drawings, which I have scanned in. And I print it out at this size in blue line, and then I just ink right over it. Don't even try to pencil anything. I'm just drawing in ink with these ones. So that's what I'm just trying to get the imagery down. But there you go. Some comics, some artwork, and you guys have a good week out there.